This 13-year-old youngster borrowed a bike from his pal and then vanished without explanation. What transpired following his discovery at a hospital 5 days later is described here. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Just 2 days before Halloween, Angelica Martinez received a heartbreaking call regarding her brother's disappearance. Nathan Torres got on the red bicycle of a family friend and rode out to the store. Unfortunately, he had a terrible incident prior to arriving. A few minutes after he rode off, the small kid was struck by a car, according to police records. In Hemet, California, the tragedy occurred within a quarter mile from his home. His family became really concerned when he failed to return home. Initially, they believed he could have gone to a friend's house, but as a day passed and he was still absent, they became concerned that they would not see the young adolescent ever again. Angelica Martinez, his older sister, searched the internet for any information on her brother's disappearance. "We were prepared for the worst, so I went online. A child who disappears may have been abducted or duped into meeting someone online," she added. The next day, October 30th, Angelica's single mother went ahead and reported the incident to the police. All of her and her mother's attempts to locate her brother were fruitless, including calling acquaintances, looking in other places, and even attempting to monitor his phone. They were unaware that Nathan had been in an accident that left him with a serious brain damage. Sad, huh? After that, the 13-year-old was brought to Moreno Valley Hospital for medical attention. The adult ICU at Riverside Health System had him categorized as John Doe, since they didn't know who he was. The nurses and physicians mistook him for a 20-year-old boy. The hospital issued a statement on the upsetting event, but it withheld details regarding the adolescent boy's condition. Since he had changed his identity, neither his family nor the police could figure out where he was. However, how did his identity get confused? The reason for this was the distinction between their residence and the scene of the accident. Angelica claims that although they officially reside in Hemet, her mother actually resides on the boundary between Hemet and San Jacinto. On the other hand, her brother's accident is thought to have occurred in San Jacinto, around 3 blocks from her mother's residence. This was the point of failure, since her mother had reported Nathan's missing case to the Hemet Police Department rather than the San Jacinto police. Angelica was astonished that Hemet authorities were unable to identify her son, but she quickly realized that her mother had explicitly informed them that her son was riding a red gauntlet bike when he was last seen. 5 days later, Nathan was finally recognized by the police. After seeing the missing boy's report, a Riverside sheriff's officer contacted the boy's family to let them know that the John Doe at Riverside Medical Center was actually Nathan Torres. Is that really true? Angelica claims that an officer arrived at her mother's house carrying a photo of her adolescent brother who was hospitalized. Her family's hearts were broken when they learned what had happened to Nathan. The Hemet Police Department issued a statement on the missing youngster the same day. Hemet PD followed up with hospitals in the region and made contact with them. The adolescent was hospitalized as a John Doe, so even though other hospitals were called, they were unable to identify him. Angelica thought her brother's case might have been handled more skillfully by the Hemet police. She said that the Hemet Police Department had been approached by the Riverside Police Department many times to inquire about any missing people who fit their description, but they had never responded. The Hemet Police Department declined to comment when asked why it took so long to locate Nathan, but they did wish him a speedy recovery. "I'm just happy they found him." The adolescent boy's sister was very appreciative of the Riverside Police Department officer in San Jacinto for making the greatest effort to locate her brother. She never held the hospital accountable for anything and was also appreciative of them for admitting him. The family was pleased that they had taken care of her younger brother, since this was what was intended of them. Thankfully, Nathan's family discovered him in good time. They simply prayed he would survive and broke down in tears when they saw him. Had he not been found, the adolescent may have died. His sister was especially upset since she was separated from her brother at the time of the unfortunate incident. Her brother's health began to worsen while she was there, so she made the decision to stay with him in the hospital. She was terrified because of this. "He was doing great, and then all of a sudden we were losing him," she explained. The doctors told them that the pressure within his brain was supposed to be rising, not falling, yet it was becoming worse. By now, Nathan was critically ill and in need of immediate surgery. The youngster, unconscious, had surgery and luckily recovered. For safety reasons, his skull had to be removed. But now he had an opportunity to live. His family was informed by the surgical staff that the reconstruction of his skull would need around 3 months. But a startling miracle took place. 3 weeks following surgery, Nathan's family was thrilled to learn that he had recovered his skull. Amazing, huh? Even though he still had some more damages, at this point his swelling had subsided and his health had much improved. Because of the swelling and damage to his brain, he was placed in a medically induced coma to some extent. Nathan, nevertheless, is a warrior, and he overcame it in the end. His family was now able to discern whether he was awake or asleep. His neurosurgeons thought he could understand, but they weren't sure whether he comprehended them when they spoke to him. But he was not very responsive to orders. For Nathan's mother, who already has an 8-year-old daughter with special needs, his circumstances were particularly challenging. She now had to look after them both because of what happened to him. How difficult must this be for the boy's mother? She says she's simply glad to have him back and that she thinks he will get better, despite the hardship. The 14-year-old is unable to remove the fluid from his head on his own at this time. In order to breathe, he also has to utilize a tracheostomy tube, a ventilator, and a feeding tube. This teenage lad really has a long way to go before he returns home. Angelica claims that her family has made the decision to sue the motorist who struck Nathan. They were just unable to deal with the suffering the incident had brought them after seeing the car drive by. They are only now concerned about her brother's health because they realize they must accept what has occurred. To ensure that the Hemet adolescent receives all the assistance he requires, his family has launched a GoFundMe campaign. In order for her mother to stay in a motel near the hospital while Nathan is there, Angelica hopes that others will be able to assist them. In addition, she hopes that a portion of the funds will go toward meeting his other needs and remodeling their home for him when he returns. Nathan's family was notified by the physicians that they were uncertain about Nathan's prognosis. They helped them realize that since brain injuries may occur in both directions, anything might happen. However, Nathan has so far exceeded the expectations of his physicians, and his family is optimistic that he will recover more fully than they anticipate. Since this is his greatest opportunity, his family is overjoyed that he will soon be leaving for the Loma Linda Recovery Facility. Nathan's sister wants everyone to know that prayers are what her family most needs for her younger brother. She knows her mother would value prayers more than money, and she thinks they will keep him strong. She just posted some images of her brother, who is on the mend and will soon return home. She expressed her gratitude to everybody who prayed and supported him. How do you feel about Nathan's narrative? Let me know in the comments. Until we meet again, please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.